Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I'm a 23-year-old nanny and have posted entitled parent stories from that job. But I do also hold another position as a cashier at night/weekends, and I finally have one from this job. So I work as a cashier at a 24-hour grocery store. And at that particular store, while we do technically have a corporate office and are a chain in a way, we are privately owned and the employees are considered the owners because we invest part of our pay into the company. And while we have management and supervisors, we are given broad discretion with denying service and throwing people out. Basically, if you have a good reason and they can see it in our cameras, there is a good reason we are good to go. Okay, now for the story. It was a busy Saturday afternoon just a few days ago, and we were packed to the point the lines are wrapped around the aisles. So it's loud, busy, packed and hot. I am tired and see it's only about 30 minutes till my shift ends, and I'm trying to keep up my nice smile and customer service voice. Briefly to my side, I hear a kid yell. He looks about 3-ish. Not like tantrum, but just like angry, trying to get mom's attention. I ignore him because kids have tantrums or getting angry is normal. I start talking to the lady in front of me and I hear the kid, who by the way, was actually quite sweet. He yells again for mom. Mom, I want my juice. Now he was yelling, but it was no way close to a tantrum or a fit. His family was the next in line. Frankly, if he'd have been in a different line, I probably wouldn't have noticed at all. In my opinion, he was more like getting the mom's attention. And his mom, the entitled one in his story, just snaps. She turns around, grabs him by his shoulders, goes nose to nose and screams as she shakes him back and forth. You will not behave like this, you brat. I am so tired of you. If you don't stop, you will get a beating when we get home. Now I was shocked, and so was everyone around. She did not say punishment or even spanking. She said beating. Now I was about to tell the lady in front of me to excuse me while I talked to the mother, but she jumped in so fast. She went up to the entitled mother and said, how dare you talk to your son like that? He's a child and you should never put your hands on him or threaten him and then embarrass him in front of everyone. I was so proud this lady said something, but I was still going to be a pain. I paged for a manager in the process cause I had a feeling this would go bad. The entitled mother starts yelling back she has a right to do whatever she wants to her son. She could spank, beat, and yell as she saw fit. Now I jump on verbally. Ma'am, I need you to take yourself and leave the store. Your children and husband, who by the way did nothing during this, can check out, but you need to leave. Excuse me? She yelled. You need to leave. We don't tolerate abuse of children or other customers. You have some boast by screaming at this woman. I turned to the other woman, and as much as I didn't want to have to say, ma'am, I appreciate your concern, but let us handle this, I had to say it. She wasn't mad and she stepped away to bag her things. I turned back to the mom and she is losing it. You can't do that. I have the right to shop here. I demand to see a manager and blah blah blah. I swear she reaches a pitch only dogs can hear. At this point, my awesome manager shows up. Hey OP, what's going on? Before I can speak, the entitled mother speaks up. This witch won't let me check out because she doesn't like how I discipline my child. That's not true, manager. What happened was, and before I could finish, he spoke up. Ma'am, we don't tolerate name calling in our store, and I need you to be quiet so I can hear from both of you. He turns to me then. I then rattle out the story and his eyes widen. Mind you again, it's a busy day, and other customers are around listening and about 3 or 4 people jump in to defend me. Thankfully, my manager listened to. He turns to the lady and her family. Ma'am, I need you to leave the store. Your family can finish checking out, but you need to leave. If you don't, I will call the police. Frankly, you'll be lucky if I don't do that anyway with the threats you keep making. She tries to stand up for herself, but my manager just escorts her out. The family just follows after her, without their food. You'd think this was the end of it, right? But nope. About 15-ish minutes later, after I fill out a report with my manager explaining everything, I head outside to get in my car and head home. I'm on the phone with a friend trying to explain what happened with the lady, but as I walk outside, I see a police car outside with no lights. I thought it was weird because I didn't see anyone get caught shoplifting that day. So I shrug and move on, and as I reach my car I hear it. "That's the girl, officer. She's the one who assaulted me and refused to let me shop here." I turn and see the woman from earlier with her kids and husband with 2 cops. I couldn't help it. I laugh. "Are you serious, lady?" My friend is trying to talk to me, but the officer just says, "Ma'am, can you come here so I can get your side and settle this?" I tell my friend I'll call her back and go talk to the officer. He keeps me away from the entitled mother, but I can still see and hear her. I briefly explained what happened. I told him I believed what she was doing to her son was abusive and that was not okay. The cop asked for specifics, and I told him what I saw and heard her threaten. But before the cop can say anything, the entitled mother yells, "I'm his mother. I can discipline him as I see fit. I can beat him if I want." Again, I am wide-eyed with her wording, still using beating, not spanking, and the cop looks just as shocked. If you'd like, my manager is inside. His name is X and he can show you the cameras. And this store actually has microphones so you can hear what she says. I admit that I refused service and called her abusive, but that's it. I never touched her. The entitled mother still yelling, "See? She admits to verbally assaulting me and refusing me service because of who I am. Arrest her." The cop sighs, looks at his partner and nods. He looks at me and says, "Okay, you can go. I'm going to give you this card with an email. You can send your statements there too about what happened." The cop turns to the lady and I see the other cop has his hands on the entitled mother, saying something to her. I'm assuming it was about her being arrested or investigated because she then shouted, "No, I did nothing wrong. She should be charged, not me. I'm his mom and can do what I want." She tries to leave, and while one has his hand on her arm, the other stops her. She instantly backs down and goes inside with one of the officers. The other stays with the kids and husband, who hadn't said anything throughout all this, just looking at the ground. I couldn't resist. Before she was out of earshot, I yelled, "Have a good day, Karen." The cop turned and gave me that look of, "Don't push your luck." I shrugged and got in my car and called my friend back to tell her what happened. When I got back to work on Sunday, I asked my manager what happened, and he said he showed the video and made a report. The mom got arrested and we were told CPS would be getting involved more than likely. I really hope that the dad is a good parent and she's the only abusive one. I hope those kids get a better life, and I hope that poor boy knows he did nothing wrong. I will update if I hear any more from the cops about this case. First, let me tell you about this wild, mind-blowing scene I witnessed at a restaurant last weekend. You know how some people believe that Karen is just a stereotype? Well, let me assure you that Karen was alive and kicking, and she picked the wrong fight with the wrong lady this time. One Saturday, I decided to treat myself to a nice lunch at Delish, a cozy family restaurant known for its delicious comfort food and welcoming ambience. As I walked in, I noticed a charming old lady sitting with her family at a corner table. They seemed so joyful, sharing laughter and heartwarming stories. I sat down at a nearby table ordering my favorite dish while soaking in the pleasant atmosphere. Suddenly, the peaceful vibe was shattered by the entrance of Karen. Yes, she fit the description perfectly, along with her overly energetic child who looked no older than 6. Karen had that trademark irritated look on her face, and her kid was already running around like a hyperactive puppy. Now the old lady sitting with her family had a cane beside her chair. It wasn't bothering anyone and she seemed pretty chill about it. But Karen's brats had a different plan. While chasing some invisible butterflies, he stumbled upon the cane and boom, the little guy fell flat on his face. Cue the drama. Karen lost it completely. She started yelling at the old lady as if it were her fault her kid couldn't watch where he was going. I couldn't believe my ears. This sweet old lady didn't deserve this kind of treatment, but she handled it like a champ, maintaining a calm smile on her face despite Karen's relentless berating. At this point, the whole restaurant was staring, and some patrons tried to intervene and ask Karen to calm down, but she was on a rampage, and reason wasn't going to get through to her. "Can you believe this? My precious angel tripped because of your stupid stick. You should be ashamed of yourself. What's wrong with you?" Karen bellowed, completely oblivious to her own child's clumsiness. The old lady responded softly, "Oh dear, I'm so sorry about that. It was an accident. I hope your little one is okay." But amidst all the yelling and chaos, she actually had the audacity to demand that the sweet old lady pay the bill for her entire table as compensation for her child's stumble. Can you believe that? I mean, who in their right mind would even think of asking such a thing? It was obvious to everyone around that the old lady had nothing to do with the accident. But entitlement knows no bounds, and Karen seemed to think she was entitled to a free meal because her kid couldn't watch his step. When the old lady didn't seem to agree with Karen's ridiculous request, that's when Karen lost it completely. It was like a switch flipped in her head, and she decided to take matters into her own hands. Literally, she reached across the table, snatched the cane away from the old lady, and held it threateningly. "Pay for our meal now! You owe us!" Karen screamed. The old lady, bless her soul, remained remarkably calm throughout the whole ordeal. She replied softly, "My dear, I am truly sorry about the accident, but I can't take responsibility for something that wasn't my fault. Let's just try to calm down and handle the situation peacefully." But as we know, reasoning with Karen was like talking to a brick wall. She was blinded by her entitlement and simply wouldn't listen to reason. The whole restaurant was watching in disbelief, and some even tried to intervene, telling Karen to back off. Yet Karen was hell-bent on getting her way. She waved the cane around as if it were some kind of weapon, demanding payment and causing even more distress for the old lady's family. Then it happened. Clearly, Karen wasn't interested in apologies or reason, and out of nowhere, she started swinging a cane towards the old lady. And that's when the tables turned, literally and figuratively. One of the old lady's daughters, who I later found out was a professional boxer, sprang into action. She moved faster than lightning, deflecting the cane away from her mother, and before anyone could comprehend what happened, Karen found herself facing a fierce right hook. Boom! The punch connected, and Karen went down like a sack of potatoes. It was a sight to behold, and the entire restaurant fell into silence with some gasps here and there. The old lady's family had expressions of shock as they checked on Karen's motionless body. "I think she'll be napping for a while," the boxer daughter quipped. As the ambulance was called for the unconscious Karen, the police arrived to sort out the situation. The old lady's family explained the whole sequence of events, and luckily the entire restaurant was willing to vouch for them. Security cameras also confirmed the truth, leaving no doubt that Karen was the instigator. While we waited for the ambulance and the police to take care of their business, I struck up a conversation with the old lady's family. They were incredibly kind and humble, despite the chaos that had just unfolded. The daughter, who delivered the knockout punch, introduced herself and said, "It is not something I'm proud of, but when it comes to protecting my family, and my mother specifically, I won't back down. My mother is the sweetest person you'll ever meet, and seeing her being attacked like that was just too much to bear." I nodded in agreement and admired their unity as a family. The old lady thanked me for my support and for being there to witness the truth. Eventually, the police concluded their investigation and determined that the daughter acted in self-defense, absolving her of any charges. On the other hand, Karen faced assault charges for her attempted attack on the sweet old lady. It was poetic justice. As the chaos settled, the restaurant staff treated the old lady's family to a fancy meal on the house. As for Karen, well, let's just say she became an infamous cautionary tale in our town. So there you have it. The day I witnessed Karen pick a fight with an innocent old lady only to be met with a well-deserved KO from a caring daughter with a heart of gold. Remember, kindness costs nothing, but it's worth everything. Well, maybe think twice before picking a fight with someone who has a champion in their corner. For some context, I bought myself a Mini Cooper SE, the first fully electric vehicle by Mini, a few weeks before this story happens. Where I live, Germany, electric cars need to have a so-called AVAS, acoustic vehicle alerting system, turned on when driving below 30 km per hour. The AVAS makes a sound to warn walkers and bikers on a street because electric vehicles normally don't make noise. The one on a Mini Cooper SE kinda sounds like a spaceship. This will be important later. Now on to the story. About half a year ago, we celebrated my grandma's 60th birthday, and I took my new Mini to get to the celebration. I don't know who else was invited, but I didn't care at the time. The ride to my grandma's place was long, and I knew that I needed to recharge at my grandma's place, or else I couldn't make it back home. So I arrive at my grandma's place and I see a few people, including entitled aunt and entitled kid, waiting for me in a driveway to park in a parking lot that they prepared for me, the one next to an outlet where I could charge my car. I drove rather slowly because I only did this a few times before and I was extra careful. Therefore, the AVAS was turned on. I get out, plug my car into the outlet, and we go inside to celebrate. After about 2 hours, I wanted to check if my car was alright. It was rather new at this time, so this was normal for me. And to get some fresh air as well. I see the entitled aunt and the entitled kid looking at my car, and the following conversation went kinda like this. "Mommy, this car sounds like a spaceship." "I know, sweetie. I don't know why it does that though." "Can I help you with something?" I ask. "Is this your car?" "Yes." "Well, my child wants to drive it." Me, a little confused. "What?" I can drive a bit and take him with me if you want." "No, he wants to drive it. It doesn't look as complicated as a normal car, so I'm sure he can drive it." Context: the Cooper SE has only 2 pedals and no gear lever because, well, electric. Also, when talking about my car earlier, I said that it feels like you're driving a go-kart. I say to her, "He sure doesn't. It's way more complicated than it looks." But it sounded like a spaceship, so it can be more than a little toy. "I wanna drive that spaceship now." "Sorry, but I can't allow that." "Why not? You're just selfish. Sure, he can drive for a minute or two in a driveway here." "Nope, he's just a kid." "I bet you don't even own that car. It sure is stolen or someone else owns it." "No, I got the keys." I pull out the keys and open the car. Big mistake. "Look, sweetie, now you can get in." She picks up her son and puts him on the driver's seat. Me, very annoyed and angry at this point. "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing? You have been very rude to me and my little angel, so he deserves to ride in your car." He couldn't start up the car because, well, it was still plugged in. He was messing around with the electronics inside and he tried to start the engine multiple times. There is a yellow obvious start switch below the GPS system. Me, very angry at this point. "Would you please take your kid out of my car?" "No, he deserves it." And that's where I had enough. I pushed the entitled mother aside and opened the driver's seat door, take the entitled kid out of my car, and put him on the floor on his feet. And what does this entitled brat do? He lets himself fall on purpose and starts crying that I broke his arm while taking him out of my car. The entitled aunt is screaming and crying about the close to death son. I really didn't use much force or anything. The other family members hear the entitled kids crying. Meanwhile, I unplug my car, get into it and drive away. On my way back home, I had to recharge once, and that's where I called the others back and told them what had happened. They tell me that the entitled aunt has tried to call the ambulance and has been kicked out of the celebration.